Welcome to a deep dive into one of the most, well, enduring and profoundly personal books ever written, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Imagine, just for a moment, getting to peek into the private, completely unedited journal of a Roman emperor. I mean, a man who commanded this vast empire stretching from Britain all the way down to North Africa, yet his true legacy, it seems, isn't really in conquest, but in this relentless pursuit of self-reflection. Inner wisdom. That's exactly what we're doing today, pulling back the curtain on this extraordinary mind and discovering how his deepest thoughts can become a powerful guide for your own life.
Yeah, it truly is a unique text, and precisely because it was never meant for public consumption, This wasn't some philosophical treatise written to impress people or a public decree telling subjects how to live, not at all. Instead, Meditations was Marcus Aurelius's intensely personal handbook, almost like a diary, compiled between, 170 and 180 AD, often right in the middle of these grueling military campaigns out on the Germanic frontier. Its sole purpose was his own rigorous self-discipline, finding moral clarity, philosophical reflection. And what's utterly fascinating here, I think, is just how relevant his struggle for inner peace, for clarity, for virtue remains for us today, despite the 2 millennia separating us. And obviously, vastly different worlds we live in. It's kind of a testament to the unchanging nature of the human condition, isn't it?
Absolutely. That raw honesty, the vulnerability in it is just incredible. So, our mission in this deep dive then is to unpack these core Stoic teachings Marcus Aurelius grappled with, like daily, to maybe explore the subtle nuances behind them, and importantly, discover how they can serve as a timeless manual for your own inner world, helping you find calm in chaos, maybe strength when things feel uncertain, and purpose in just everyday decisions. So, yeah, get ready to unlock some serious ancient wisdom that feels surprisingly modern and profoundly applicable right now.
Okay, let's really unpack this idea of Meditations not being a typical book. You're essentially reading the raw, unedited thoughts of, well, arguably the most powerful man on earth at the time, the Roman emperor, commander-in-chief. Yet he clearly saw wisdom, self-control, moral clarity. He saw those as far more valuable than his imperial power, his titles, his armies, all of it. What does that tell us about the nature of this text, and maybe more importantly, about the man himself?
Well, it highlights this profound personal commitment to what the Stoics called prohairesis. That's your faculty of choice, your sort of inner citadel, the one thing you truly control. This wasn't about public image for him or issuing some grand decree. It was about intense self-mastery, understanding that, ultimate freedom comes from controlling your inner world, regardless of external circumstances. And the very act of him writing these reflections, often in incredibly challenging high-stakes situations like leading military campaigns, that just imbues the wisdom with an authenticity that's really hard to find in other philosophical works. It's lived philosophy. It's raw. And this raises an important question for you listening. If someone with that much external power dedicated so much energy, so much focus to cultivating his internal world, what does that imply for our own lives? Where we often feel pulled and dictated by external forces, by pressures, by opinions, it suggests that true, unshakable power lies within, doesn't it?
Yeah. And here's where it gets really interesting, the core lessons, these actionable truths you can genuinely grab onto. Marcus Aurelius distills these complex philosophical ideas into surprisingly simple, yet, let's be honest, profoundly challenging principles. Let's start with perhaps the most famous one, the absolute bedrock of Stoicism, often called the dichotomy of control, basically. Control what you can, let go of what you can't. What did he truly mean by that? Why is it so fundamental?
Right. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is indeed the cornerstone. The core idea is that life presents us with 2 kinds of things, those entirely within our control and those entirely outside it. Simple as that. So what's within our control? Our judgments, our opinions, our desires, our aversions, ultimately our actions, our choices. And what's outside our control? Pretty much everything else. Other people's behavior, their opinions of us, the weather, traffic, global events, even, our own bodies and health in the long run aren't fully under our command. The strength comes from focusing all your energy, your time, your worry exclusively on the first category, what you can control, and calmly accepting the second, letting go of the rest.
Okay, so for you listening right now, that sounds simple, almost obvious, maybe, but in practice, wow, it's deceptively difficult, isn't it? How do we genuinely put this wisdom into action when life throws those curveballs? Like when you're stuck in traffic or dealing with a difficult colleague or just facing an uncertain future. How do you apply the dichotomy of control in those real messy moments?
Well, it requires diligent daily practice. It's not a one-off thing. Marcus Aurelius suggests daily reflection, explicitly asking yourself, okay, what can I control in this situation right now? And just as importantly, what must I release? What is simply not mine to govern? Well, it's not about suppressing emotions, understand. It's about acknowledging them, but then directing your mental energy wisely. So take the traffic example. You can't control the traffic jam itself, zero control. But you can control your reaction, whether you fume and rage, or maybe use the time to listen to something useful or just practice patience. That's your choice. Dealing with a difficult colleague, you can't control their personality or their mood, but you can control your professional response, your boundaries, your own composure. It's really a mental exercise to stop yourself from becoming a victim of your emotions or external circumstances, constantly reminding yourself where your true agency lies.
Another incredibly powerful idea that just permeates meditations is live according to nature. Now, this isn't about abandoning modern life and, moving to a cave, right? That's not it. So what was he really getting at? Especially for an emperor who had to engage with all the complexities of the world.
Not at all, no. That's a common misunderstanding. For the Stoics, nature refers to rational nature, your higher self. It means your most rational, virtuous, and authentic self, your best self, really. It's about living in alignment with our inherent human capacity for reason, integrity, and virtue. The Stoics believe the universe itself is governed by a rational principle, the logos. And as rational beings, we are meant to align ourselves with that cosmic reason. Marcus Aurelius advises, just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter. It's quite stark. It's a call to align your actions with your deepest values, choosing what's right over what's just easy or convenient, living with a clear sense of purpose rather than chasing fleeting pleasure or superficial fame or material wealth. Even as emperor, he sought to make decisions based on what was rational and just for the common good, not for personal gain. That was the goal.
Okay, that feels incredibly applicable in our modern lives, which are often so distracted, so overly stimulated. But how do you reconcile living according to nature with the really tough decisions an emperor had to make, like, going to war or executing criminals? Doesn't that kind of contradict a peaceful, virtuous life?
Yeah, that's where the nuance of Stoicism really comes in. It's not simplistic. Living according to nature for Marcus Aurelius meant acting in accordance with reason and, crucially, the common good. Sometimes acting rationally for the good of the empire meant making difficult, even brutal decisions. But the key is they were ideally made not out of passion or cruelty or vengeance, but from a considered judgment of necessity, based on reason. So the practical implementation for you is to consciously try to align your actions with your values. Before making a decision, whether it's big or small, just pause. Ask yourself, is this choice based on my higher self, my reason, my core values? Or is it just being influenced by external pressures, maybe societal expectations, or some immediate, often fleeting desire? That simple question can act as a powerful moral compass.
Right. And then there's memento mori, remembering death. This sounds a bit grim on the surface, doesn't it? Like a morbid preoccupation. But when you really dig into it, it's actually incredibly liberating. It has this way of cutting through all the noise.
It absolutely is liberating, and it's one of the most powerful tools in the Stoic toolkit, I'd say. Marcus Aurelius' stark reminder is, do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Boom. The certainty of death isn't meant to inspire dread or despair. Quite the opposite, actually. It's a profound tool for bringing clarity and urgency to your life, right now. It strips away the trivial concerns, the petty grievances, procrastination, fear of failure. It forces your mind to focus sharply on what truly matters, on what's truly important in the grand scheme of your finite time. Think about it. If you only had a few days left, would you spend them worrying about someone's Instagram post or arguing about something trivial? Or would you dedicate them to what truly fulfills you, who you love, what matters?
Okay, so how can we use that as a daily motivator, not just an occasional heavy reminder that feels maybe paralyzing? How do you prevent it from being, well, just depressing?
He suggests incorporating memento mori daily, maybe just briefly, at the start of your day perhaps, or during a moment of quiet contemplation. A practical way is simply to ask yourself, if today were my last day, what would I do differently? How would I spend my time? And with whom? What would I prioritize? What would I let go of? This seemingly simple question can be a profoundly powerful catalyst for intentional living, for meaningful action. It's not really about dwelling on death itself, but about spurring life, making the most of the present. It's about cultivating something called amor fati, the love of one's fate, including its inevitable end, which paradoxically allows you to live more fully, more intensely, right here, right now.
This next one really hits home for a lot of people, especially today in an age dominated by social media and constant comparison. Don't be ruled by others' opinions. It is so easy to get caught up in seeking external approval or dreading external criticism, even from total strangers.
Oh, absolutely. And he observed something incredibly insightful about human nature here. Eerily relevant today. He said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Wow. This just highlights a fundamental and often really self-defeating human tendency. Stoicism teaches that external approval or criticism is ultimately irrelevant. It's external. It's outside your control. It has no bearing on your inner peace, your virtue, your fundamental well-being, your true value, your worth, your moral compass. That must come from within, independent of what anyone else thinks or says, or how many likes your post gets.
How do you actually put that into practice when, say, you get a negative comment online, or you face rejection, or you feel that immense pressure, that urge to please someone else, even if it means compromising your own integrity? How do you resist that?
Detaching from praise and criticism is absolutely key, both sides of the coin. Before reacting emotionally to someone else's judgment, good or bad, or before chasing that fleeting moment of external validation, take a moment, pause, reflect, ask yourself, is this opinion aligned with my own reason and values? Is it actually true? Is there something useful here? Maybe constructive criticism I can learn from? Or am I simply reacting emotionally to an external stimulus, something that has no real bearing on my core integrity?
Yeah.
Cultivating that inner detachment, recognizing that others' opinions are external and therefore outside your direct control, that's crucial. It frees up an immense amount of mental energy,
Yeah, definitely. And the idea that obstacles are the way, that challenges aren't roadblocks designed to stop you, but rather paths. Paths designed to propel you forward. That's a total reframing of how most people instinctively react to problems, isn't it?
It really is. Marcus Aurelius firmly believed that the impediment to action advances action. What stands on the way becomes the way. He saw challenges not as things meant to break us or halt our progress, no. He saw them as forces that inherently shape us, strengthen us, make us better. Resistance, in this Stoic view, isn't the enemy. It's the very path to growth, to improvement, to self-mastery. Every problem, every single setback, contains within it a hidden opportunity. An opportunity for learning, for building resilience, for practicing virtue, courage, patience, justice. It's a profound form of amor fati. Again, not just accepting your fate, but loving it, embracing it. Because it is precisely through these challenges, these obstacles, that you actually grow.
So what does that mean for you then when you encounter a problem or a setback in your own life? Say a project fails at work or a personal plan just falls apart completely. How exactly do you shift from complaining or despair, which is often the first reaction, to seeing that problem as the way?
Well, instead of succumbing to frustration or complaining, which is easy to do, you consciously try to reframe the problem. You ask, okay, what is this teaching me? What lesson is here? How can this obstacle be transformed into an opportunity? An opportunity for growth, for learning, for demonstrating resilience, maybe for developing a new skill I didn't have. For instance, a failed project teaches you valuable lessons about planning or teamwork or maybe market analysis, things you wouldn't learn otherwise. A personal setback might teach you patience or self-compassion or humility. It's about actively seeking the hidden benefit, the lesson, within every difficulty. It's an active engagement with adversity, not passive resignation. Active.
Okay, this next lesson. Practice gratitude, even in suffering, seems incredibly counterintuitive at first glance. How do you possibly find gratitude when things are genuinely difficult or painful? It feels like a real uphill battle.
Yeah, it does. But he prepared himself daily for life's inevitable challenges through a practice called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, basically. He advised, begin each day by telling yourself, today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. Now, this isn't pessimism. That's key. It's not about expecting the worst in a negative way. It's a profound form of mental preparedness, like putting on mental armor. By anticipating discomfort, rudeness, setbacks, you can meet them with calm, with reason, with perspective. Rather than being surprised and reacting emotionally, getting thrown off balance, even suffering itself, he believed, is a vital training ground for building character, resilience, inner strength. It makes you tougher, more discerning, and it reveals your true capacity, what you're really capable of.
So it's about anticipating life's bumps and sort of preparing your mental armor rather than being caught off guard, knocked over. But how do you feel gratitude when things are truly awful, like a significant personal loss or a serious illness? That feels like a huge leap.
It is a leap. And it's not about being grateful for the suffering itself. That would be strange, maybe even unhealthy. It's more about being grateful for the opportunity the suffering presents, the opportunity to practice virtues. Virtues like courage, patience, resilience, self-control, things you might not get to practice otherwise. It's about appreciating the moments of calm that might precede or follow the storm, and recognizing the strength that emerges from enduring it, the strength you didn't know you had. One powerful way to implement this maybe is through a form of Stoic journaling. At the start of your day, consider what specific challenges or difficult interactions might I encounter today, and then critically, how will I choose to respond to them? With wisdom, with inner calm, with virtue, rather than just reacting on autopilot. This kind of foresight builds mental resilience, and it helps you find gratitude, maybe not for the event, but for your capacity to endure and overcome it.
Finally, there's this powerful concept that we are all one. This connects the individual's inner world to a much larger universal picture. It's not just about me, me, me. It's about us, the collective. How does an emperor, someone who commands armies and makes life and death decisions, embrace this kind of unity?
He stated it very eloquently. What injures the hive injures the bee. Beautifully put. This reflects the deep Stoic belief in cosmic unity, universal brotherhood, you might say. We are not just isolated individuals floating disconnectedly through life. That's an illusion. We are fundamentally interconnected, part of one vast human family, and indeed part of a larger rational cosmos. Recognizing this fosters a profound sense of shared responsibility, empathy, a motivation to contribute to the common good, the cosmic city as they called it. Even as emperor, Marcus Aurelius strove for justice and peace, not just for Rome, but, in his view, for humanity, believing his role was to be a servant to the universe's rational order.
Okay, so what's the practical takeaway for you, listening there? How do you live that out daily? It can feel so abstract sometimes, especially when you encounter people who are just difficult, or when societal divisions feel so stark and overwhelming.
Well, you practice compassion and empathy in your daily interactions, even, and maybe especially, with those you find difficult or disagreeable. Consciously work to let go of ego-driven conflict. Try to see beyond the immediate disagreement, and instead recognize your place and their place within the larger human community. Think of yourself maybe as a vital limb of the larger body of humanity. When you act for the good of the whole, you ultimately benefit yourself too. It means viewing others with understanding, even when you strongly disagree, seeking common ground rather than just perpetuating division. This principle helps you cultivate tranquility, inner peace by reducing resentment and fostering a sense of shared purpose.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? How can these profound ancient ideas, which sound so grand sometimes, how can they be integrated into your busy, often overwhelming modern life? Because they aren't just concepts to admire from afar, right? They're tools for daily living.
Exactly. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just writing about these ideas. He was rigorously practicing them every single day under immense pressure. And he gives us clear, practical methods for daily implementation, methods that are just as relevant now as they were then. First, morning reflection. Start your day not just by grabbing your phone or jumping straight into tasks. Take a moment. Set your intention. Mentally prepare for any difficulties or challenges you might encounter. Acknowledge they might happen. And visualize yourself responding with reason and calm. Ask yourself, what virtues will I try to practice today? What external events will I meet with equanimity? Second, evening review. Before bed, consciously review your day. This is like your personal feedback loop, crucial for growth. Ask yourself, did I live by reason today? Was I just in my actions? Where did I react emotionally or irrationally? And how could I maybe have responded more wisely, more virtuously? This helps you refine your approach for tomorrow. Third, meditation on death, memento mori. Like we discussed, just a daily brief reminder of your own mortality, not to induce fear, but to ensure you don't waste your precious finite time on trivialities or things that don't truly align with your deepest values. It sharpens your focus. And fourth, practice virtue. This is really the culmination, making a conscious, deliberate choice to embody wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline in every single action and interaction you have, all day long. Whether it's showing patience in a queue, speaking honestly when it's difficult, maintaining focus on an important task, these aren't abstract philosophical concepts. They're concrete, daily choices that build character over time, bit by bit.
Yeah, it's absolutely about building a consistent practice, isn't it? It's not magic. These aren't one-time insights you read and then just forget. They're dynamic tools for ongoing growth, for refining your character, and for building that inner citadel of peace and resilience, brick by brick, day after day. It really is a lifelong endeavor. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, it's not your typical self-help book promising quick fixes, not at all. It's truly a manual for the soul, a profound guide for becoming calm in chaos, strong in uncertainty, and virtuous even when you might wield immense power. He ruled the world, yes, but crucially, he ruled himself first, and that perhaps was his greatest conquest.
And what's just fascinating here is that despite being written solely for one man in a completely different era, a time of gladiators and emperors, its core insights on human nature, on what we can control, on finding purpose, They resonate as powerfully today as they did 2 millennia ago. It's amazing. It reminds us that the fundamental human struggles and aspirations, the desire for peace, for meaning, for resilience, for connection, they're truly timeless. The wisdom of an ancient Roman emperor still speaks directly to you, the modern individual.
So if you seek peace, wisdom, and real, unwavering strength in your own life, Meditations is a text worth revisiting, not just once, but many times, allowing its profound wisdom to sink deeper each time you pick it up. So for you listening today, what aspect of this ancient Stoic wisdom resonated most deeply? And maybe more importantly, how might you begin to integrate just one of these powerful practices into your daily routine, starting today, using the blueprint of an emperor who truly mastered himself